More than 2,000 people have been killed and at least 10,000 are missing in Libya after 2 dams burst, causing catastrophic flooding.
In Morocco, British rescuers join the desperate search for survivors of the earthquake, which has killed almost 3,000 people. Wednesday, the 13th of September, and aid organisations say around 10,000 people are missing after parts of Libya were hit by devastating floods. More than 2,000 people are known to have died.
In one of the worst affected areas, the port city of Derna, 2 dams and 4 bridges have collapsed as rescue workers struggle to retrieve bodies swept out to sea. Our correspondent Joe Inwood has the very latest.
Nothing could resist the waters. As the river Derna swelled, then broke its banks, entire districts of the city were washed into the sea. Those caught in its path didn't stand a chance.
People were asleep and no one was ready. My whole family lived next door to each other. We were all neighbours. We lost 30 people so far, 30 members of the same family. We haven't found anyone.
From above, you can see the devastation done to this city. More than 100,000 people lived here as the waters rushed through. As Storm Daniel swept across North Africa, it dropped a huge amount of water onto the hills, swelling the river Derna and then causing 2 dams to burst. There used to be a dam, this man says. Now it's just soil. It seems it was that failure that has caused such carnage. This is a disaster both natural and man-made. Libya has never really recovered from the civil war that overthrew Colonel Gaddafi. Rival governments claim to rule this country. Neither really does.
After this incident, we will look back at ourselves and the reasons for the devastating flood in a calm and intelligent way. We have allocated just over 2.5 billion dinars to start the reconstruction of this area.
That figure is just over £400 million. All the while, the death toll mounts. Mass graves fill up. Hospitals turn into morgues.
We've already had 1,700 dead just in this section of the hospital. We counted them as they were lying in the hallways. We've buried anyone identified by their family or friends. Things are very bad. The hospital is dilapidated.
Some aid is already on its way, but with relief operations already stretched by the earthquake in nearby Morocco, help will not come as fast as the needs here will grow.
Of course, saving lives in this moment is critical, but then the next steps are also pretty concerning because, again, we're talking about thousands of people who lost everything. So what about their health, their food, their water, their livelihoods? And then it's not something that will be solved in a couple of hours of days. This emergency response will last for months, if not for years. So there is a huge need of solidarity and support for the people affected.
The true scale of this disaster, the number of lives lost, is only slowly emerging. We know it is vast and will only get worse. Joe Inwood, BBC News.
We'll get the latest from Libya during the programme this morning, but there is another challenge for rescue teams not far away in the Middle East, and Sally has details of that.
Thanks, John. Rescue teams from the UK have joined the search for survivors after a devastating earthquake hit Morocco last week, killing nearly 3,000 people. More than 60 British personnel are on the ground with rescue dogs, but conditions have been extremely difficult. Our correspondent Tom Bateman joined a team in one of the worst-hit villages in the remote High Atlas Mountains.
Good lad. Searching for the scent of life. Colin scours the ruins of one of Morocco's most devastated mountain villages. We've followed the UK's rescue team on a journey to the earthquake's epicentre. And this British crew here to search for survivors, though they are working against all odds.
Yeah, unfortunately, Colin is an experienced dog. He was in Turkey earlier this year. He only goes on live scent. Unfortunately, there's been no indication, there's no interest, so unfortunately it doesn't look like there's any live casualties in this area.
So now it's all about recovery. How do you cope with everything you know destroyed? Hussein digs out the remains of his home, hoping to get to his possessions and his family's clothes.
I was here with my family. We were having dinner. The ceiling fell on me. It's God's decision. My brother died. There is nothing I can do. I'm just going to take my clothes out and go to the tent.
And this is their home now. People are having to find a way to live with the foul air of death all around them. They say more than 100 were buried instantly when the quake hit here. The destruction is near absolute. Well, only the minaret of their mosque remains. Everything else, homes, streets, a whole community is reduced to this. It is overwhelming. And everyone we've spoken to here says they believe everyone that was missing has died. There is no hope left of finding survivors. Some supplies are arriving for people who have lost everything. All but cut off from the outside world, residents say they need much more.
There is no house to live in. If there is no help from the government, we have nothing.
And what the earth took away, they are already trying to rebuild. These are people shattered by loss, but having to find the ways to keep going. Tom Bateman, BBC News, Duzru Mountain in Morocco.